Imagine loading the last box into your truck. The engine purring like freedom itself, only to have sirens shatter the morning, red and blue lights dancing like a bad joke on your driveway. There she stands, the self-crowned queen of suburbia, phone glued to her ear, screeching about stolen community assets, while pointing at your late wife's wind chimes like they're contraband gold. And just when you think the absurdity can't peak, your son steps out, badge gleaming, turning her power trip into a perp walk that'll have the whole neighborhood choking on their morning coffee. The sun hadn't even fully crested over the manicured lawns of Evergreen Meadows when I felt the first real tug of escape. I'd spent the night boxing up the ghosts. Faded photos of Sarah smiling in that yellow sundress, the chipped mug she used for her herbal tea that always smelled like chamomile and quiet mornings. The house on Maple Lane had been our sanctuary once, a slice of American dream wrapped in white picket fences and barbecue Sundays. But that was before the HOA turned it into a prison yard disguised as paradise, where every blade of grass had to bow to the bylaws or face execution by weed killer. My name's Jack Harlan, 57, former civil engineer who'd traded blueprints for birdwatching after Sarah's cancer took her too soon. Evergreen Meadows, tucked in the rolling hills of suburban Virginia, looked like a postcard. Identical roofs, synchronized sprinklers, and smiles that hid the strain of constant surveillance. When we moved in 12 years ago, the HOA was just a friendly committee, Mrs. Evelyn Thorpe and her band of clipboard warriors, fussing over holiday lights and shared mulch piles. It's for the greater good, Sarah would say, planting her wildflowers anyway, because she believed people were inherently decent. I believed her, until decency got buried under a mountain of regulations thicker than the Bible. After Sarah passed, the house echoed with emptiness. I'd tinker in the garage, fixing squeaky doors or polishing her old wind chimes, those tinkling silver ones she'd hung on the porch, claiming they sang the wind's secrets. Nights, I'd sit out there, listening to them chime in the breeze, watching porch lights flick on like obedient soldiers across the street. The HOA called it uniform illumination standards. I called it soul-crushing sameness. Structure I understood. Hell, I designed bridges that held up under hurricanes, but this was suffocation sold as serenity. So, I put the house on the market. A cozy rancher up in the Blue Ridge Mountains called to me, with a view of valleys where the only rules were gravity and good sense. Mornings with black coffee, no compliance forms. Evenings with stars, not street lamp curfews. Leaving wasn't easy. The porch still creaked where Sarah used to dance barefoot. The garden soil remembered her hands. But staying meant drowning in memories laced with mandates. That final morning, I loaded boxes into the U-Haul, dust motes swirling like farewell confetti. The neighborhood was pristine. Lawns mowed to exactly 2.5 inches. Mailboxes gleaming like they feared demotion. I caught Evelyn Thorpe, HOA president, eternal busybody, peering from her window across the way, her lips a thin line of disapproval. She waved, that plastic courtesy that screamed, "I'm watching." I nodded back, thinking, just one more day, and I'm out. But in Evergreen Meadows, freedom wasn't a right, it was a privilege pending approval. The wind picked up, rattling Sarah's chimes like a warning. I smiled, oblivious, as somewhere in Evelyn's pristine home office, her printer whirred to life, spitting out a fresh decree with my name in bold. The notice hit like a slap from a velvet glove. I just poured my last cup of coffee in that kitchen, savoring the bitter steam, when I swung open the front door. There it was, taped dead center like a scarlet letter, Urgent compliance demand, in screaming red ink. $2,800 due immediately for unauthorized asset relocation and aesthetic disruption. I snorted, thinking it was a mix-up. Maybe from that time they'd fine me $50 for Sarah's flower bed being too vibrant. But no. The fine print accused me of withdrawing communal enhancements without board clearance. Withdrawing? I was moving, not robbing the place. Before I could peel it off, heels clicked up the walk like tiny gunfire. Evelyn Thorpe, in her signature pearl necklace and power blazer, clipboard clutched like a shield. Her smile was all teeth, no warmth, the kind that said, "Bless your heart," while plotting your downfall. "Mr. Harlan," she cooed, voice dripping honeyed venom. "I trust you've seen our little reminder. We wouldn't want any loose ends before your departure." I held up the paper, waving it like a flag of surrender. "Evelyn, what the hell is asset relocation? You talking about my toolbox or the doormat?" She tilted her head, eyes narrowing behind her cat-eye glasses. "Oh, Jack, always so literal. It means you've started packing without submitting Form 47B for inventory audit. Those porch fixtures, the landscaping accents, they contribute to our community's unified appeal. Until your dues are settled, everything stays put." Dues? I'd paid every cent, on time, for years. I filed for HOA dissociation 6 months ago. County's got the records. I'm out. Her laugh was a tinkly thing, like broken glass in a blender. "The board reviewed that, dear. We've incorporated your lot into the expanded Greenbelt Zone 4. Continuity. Aesthetic continuity. You understand. It's for the good of Evergreen." I felt my jaw clench. "So you redrew the lines to keep me hooked? That's not continuity. That's extortion." She scribbled something on her clipboard, pen scratching like nails on chalkboard. "Failure to comply could lead to a lien, Mr. Harlan. We hate unpleasantness, but rules are rules." Neighbors were peeking now, old Mr. Jenkins watering his already soaked plants. Phone discreetly aimed our way. Evelyn glanced at them, her smile widening, knowing the gossip mill was churning. "Think of the community," she added, voice laced with faux concern. "We all sacrifice for harmony." I folded the notice, pocket trembling with restrained fury. "Harmony? This feels more like a cult with quarterly fees." Her eyes flashed, but the smile held. "Careful, Jack. Slander against officers isn't tolerated." She turned on her heel, leaving me with the scent of her overpowering rose perfume and a sinking gut. Inside, I slammed the door, the notice crumpling in my fist. It wasn't just paper. It was a declaration of war, wrapped in bureaucratic bullshit. That morning, I realized leaving Evergreen wasn't a choice. It was a battle. And Evelyn Thorpe, with her pearl-clutching piety, had just fired the first shot. The fines snowballed like a bad investment scheme, each one more ridiculous than the last. First came the vegetation variance ticket, $150 because Sarah's roses had encroached half an inch over the property line. "Encroached," I muttered, staring at the photo attached. Evelyn's ruler prominently featured like Exhibit A in a kangaroo court. Then a $200 ding for non-standard mailbox alignment, even though mine matched everyone else's down to the millimeter. By the third, $300 for delayed response to prior notices. I knew it was personal. Evelyn's headers beamed Evergreen Meadows, where order blooms, but it was wilting into a weed of pettiness. I kept my cool, documenting everything. Photos of envelopes timestamped, scans of each absurd claim. My engineering brain kicked in measure twice, cut once. But the isolation crept like fog. On the community app, Evelyn's digital fiefdom, a thread popped up. Concerns over non-compliant resident on Maple Lane. No names, but the hints were blatant. Some folks think rules don't apply. One post read, from Evelyn's alias Harmony Keeper. Comments piled on. He's disrupting our vibe. Should've just followed protocol. My mailman started dropping packages at the curb, averting eyes. Delivery guys honked and drove off. Even the Johnsons, who'd shared beers after Sarah's funeral, suddenly had prior commitments when I waved. One evening, as twilight painted the lawns gold, Evelyn showed up unannounced, knocking with that insistent rap. I opened the door, finding her flanked by two board members, puppets in matching polo shirts. Evening inspection, she announced, clipboard at the ready. Reports of irregular porch decor. I crossed my arms. Irregular? You mean the wind chimes Sarah hung? They've been there a decade. She peered past me, nose wrinkling. They clash with the approved tonal palette. And that chair unvetted upholstery. We'll need to confiscate for review. Confiscate? I stepped forward, voice low. Evelyn, this is my porch. My memories. You're not touching a damn thing. Her smile faltered, then sharpened. Resistance noted. Expect escalation. The bored eyes nodded like bobbleheads, one muttering, for the greater good. As they left, I heard her whisper to them, stubborn types like him ruin everything. That night, alone in the kitchen, I pinned Sarah's old note to the fridge. Kindness outlasts any rulebook. Her looping script mocked the stack of fines. Laughter bubbled up, dark, bitter, imagining Evelyn's face if she knew I was building a dossier, not a defeat. They wanted me broken. I'd give them bureaucracy's boomerang. My son, Alex, arrived like a storm front you didn't see coming, quiet, but charged. He'd called saying he needed a break from D.C., his FBI gig grinding him down. Pulled up in his nondescript SUV, looking every bit the unflappable agent in jeans and a hoodie that screamed, undercover casual. We hugged awkwardly, him patting my back like checking for wires. You look like hell, Dad, he said, eyeing the boxes. Feel like it too, I replied, leading him inside where fines covered the table like confetti from a nightmare party. He sifted through them, brow furrowing. This is systematic harassment. Same phrasing, escalating amounts, classic intimidation playbook. I shrugged. Welcome to HOA hell. Evelyn's got the neighborhood in her pocket. Alex's eyes hardened. That analytical glint I'd seen when he cracked his first case as a kid detective in our backyard. Show me everything. We spent hours poring over docs. Him spotting patterns. Fines funneled to Thorpe Consulting, Evelyn's husband's shady firm. This reeks of embezzlement, he murmured. Redrawn maps without surveys? Forged signatures. I nodded, the pieces clicking. She's not just petty, she's profiting. He leaned back, cracking his knuckles. You've been patient. Too patient. Let me dig. Over the next days, Alex worked discreetly, calls to contacts, subpoenas brewing. Meanwhile, Evelyn amped up. A community meeting where she preached about dissenters eroding our fabric, eyes flicking my way. Neighbors murmured agreement, but a few shifted uncomfortably, whispering about their own mystery fees. One afternoon, Evelyn cornered me at the mailbox. Still packing. Jack? Pity if liens delayed your sale. I smiled thinly. Pity if audits revealed your consulting scam. Her face twitched, composure cracking. You wouldn't dare. This community needs me. Needs? Or fears? I shot back. She stormed off, but the seed was planted. Tension simmered, her absurdity peaking in a flyer. Unity rally against rogue elements. Hilarity in the hypocrisy, her preaching unity while dividing us all. The climax hit like a flashbang on moving day. Truck loaded. Chimes packed tenderly. Then sirens wailed. Lights strobing. Evelyn marched up. Triumphant. Phone aloft. Officers. He's absconding with HOA assets. Arrest him. I set the box down. Exasperated. Assets? These are Sarah's chimes. You delusional. Cops approached warily. One sighing. Ma'am. We've been here before. False alarms cost time. Evelyn puffed up. Blazer buttons straining. This is theft. Per bylaw 12.7. All decor is communal. Alex stepped out. Calm as a lake before a squall. Hold up. He flashed his badge, FBI gold catching the sun. Special Agent Alex Harlan. Evergreen HOA is under federal probe for fraud, wire fraud, and racketeering. Evelyn's jaw dropped, clipboard clattering. You're bluffing. This is my domain. Alex unfolded a warrant. Voice steel. Your domain siphoned $150,000 into personal accounts. Fake fines. Ghost vendors. It's over. Neighbors gawked. Phones recording as cops cuffed her. She sputtered. But harmony. Without me. Chaos. I leaned in, whispering. Harmony? You built a house of cards on stolen dimes. Her eyes bulged. Ridiculous in rage, as they led her away. The crowd buzzed shock, then snickers at her flailing excuses. Satisfaction surged. Her mask shattered, revealing the greedy tyrant beneath. Weeks later, peace settled like fresh snow. Auditors gutted the HOA office, exposing the scam. Evelyn and her hubby facing charges. Reimbursements flowing back. Evergreen renamed Liberty Hills. Lawns grew wilder. Doors painted rainbow hues without fear. New committee, volunteers, not overlords. Alex visited my mountain rancher, us sipping beer on the porch. You played it smart, Dad. Patience paid off. I clinked bottles. Sarah taught me that. Rules without heart are just chains. The lake lapped below, chimes tinkling freely. No more mandates, just life, unscripted. True or false? In a world of overzealous HOAs, is the real villain the rule breaker or the rule maker who twists laws for personal gain?